Welcome, everyone, to the Apoco-Larry podcast. I'm Steve. He is
Mr. Van Beek.
Yeah, don't you forget it, people.
Yeah, don't you? Well, in Britain, to be a Mister is quite a it's a title. Remember, it was Mr. Elton John and Mr. So to be a Mister in some ways was more important than to be a doctor.
Almost like Esquire.
Yeah. So tonight I'll be Mr. Van Beek.
Yes. Okay.
And you have to be a Mr. When you're talking about the Levite here.
Yes, because this is a difficult story, is it not?
This is a difficult story. Yeah.
My friend, why don't you introduce the topic that we're going to talk about tonight with these good folks?
Yeah. So 19, 20, and 21. This is the Levite and his concubine. And then in 20, we won't do 20 and 21 tonight, but we'll do 20 and 21 maybe next week before Christmas.
Yeah,
because that's a good Christmas theme.
Oh, it's a lovely Christmas departure point
of the Benjaminites and what they had to do to the Benjaminites, and then what they had to do again to the Benjaminites. But it all starts off with this Levite and his concubine, and don't forget, a concubine is less than a wife. So they remember Solomon. Did he have 300 wives and 700 concubines?
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. So these would be marriages, not marriages even, but they could almost be at a wife level if you're a concubine. But it just goes to show, modern Christian morality did not fit these guys.
No.
And it makes me laugh a little because we talk about Judeo-Christian morality, and it works, right? Judeo-Christian morality, but this wife thing in the Old Testament, did not fit what. So I like to even say did not fit what Jesus taught, because then that fits the whole Christian thing afterwards.
Right.
But anyway, so we've got a Levite and his concubine, but it starts with those words again.
Yep.
In those days, Israel had no king.
Yes.
So,
folks, like Larry just started
this is not quite, and everybody did what was right in their own eyes, but it's right along the same lines.
You can see it from here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're in chapter 19, verse 1. In those days, Israel had no king. Now a Levite who lived in a remote area in the hill country of Ephraim, there again, took a concubine from Bethlehem in Judah. But she was unfaithful to him. She left him and went back to her parents' home in Bethlehem, Judah. After she had been there 4 months, her husband went to her to persuade her to return. Like Larry said, these are weird interchangeable terms they keep flipping back and forth with, right? He had with him his servant and 2 donkeys. She took him into their parents' home, and when her father saw him, he gladly welcomed him. His father-in-law, the woman's father, prevailed on him to stay, so he remained with him 3 days, eating and drinking and sleeping there.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what to do with that, because that eating and drinking and sleeping there, he's going to do that for quite a while.
Yeah.
This guy just keeps presuming upon him and presuming upon him.
Yeah.
But he was glad that he came back to pick up the girl, because it seems like it was a bit of an embarrassment to have her come home.
Okay.
Now we don't know, because she was in the area of Bethlehem and stuff. I don't know if it says later on what she was. But I wouldn't have thought an Israelite woman, any from any of the tribes, would be a concubine. But I could be wrong about that, because she lived in Bethlehem of Judah, right? But then we're talking Jebusites pretty soon, so it could be that kind of thing. But anyway, the father-in-law, he's glad to have this Levite back, and the guy's a Levite.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, what bad could happen, you think? Well,
Yeah.
Just wait.
Because remember, only the Levites could be priests.
That's right. Yeah.
Unless you were the guy from Micah from the last story, and you just made your son a priest. Yeah. So what Judges does is it tears apart your whole view of a not a monarchical, but a theocracy. The whole view that Israel were God's people and they were following God and all that. You were saying that Craig Broyles, in one of his said, we think that they were monotheistic, but they actually didn't act monotheistic. They had all kinds of gods and things going on.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of weird stuff going on in this one. But anyway, now he's with the father, and the father, they're eating and drinking and having a good time, and the father-in-law or the father of the girl anyway invites him to stay again.
Yeah.
Verse 5.
Verse 5. On the fourth day, they got up early, and he prepared to leave. But the woman's father said to his son-in-law, refresh yourself with something to eat, and then you can go on. So the two of them sat down to eat and drink together. Afterward, the woman's father said, please stay the night and enjoy yourself. Then, when the man got to go up, his father-in-law persuaded him. So he stayed there that night. On the morning of the fifth day, when he rose to go, the woman's father said, refresh yourself, wait till the afternoon. So the two of them ate together. Then, when the man, with his concubine and his servant, got up to leave, his father-in-law, the woman's father, said, now look, it's almost evening. Spend the night here. The day is almost over. Stay and enjoy yourself. Early tomorrow morning, you can get up and be on your way home. But unwilling to stay another night, the man had clearly had enough. Like, look, I'm done.
Yeah,
okay, I'm done. The man left and went towards Jebus, that is Jerusalem, with his 2 saddled donkeys and his concubine.
So Jebus would be the name the Jebusites gave Jerusalem.
Right. Maybe that's a clue.
And,
right?
I'll just the Jebusites were the people that lived in the area of Jerusalem. So when Joshua took over the land, they were supposed to kick everybody out.
Right.
But the Jebusites were a form of Amorites, so the more original people of Canaan, you know. So in the modern argument, if you want to say, well, who actually owned Palestine, you say, well, if you go back to this period of time, the people of Palestine were kicked out by the Israelites, and the Jebusites were one of them, but they didn't kick them out, right? And so these were some of the people that they were sometimes they were having trouble with, and sometimes they were intermarrying with, and having these other things going on. But so they're coming to the area of where the Jebusites are, and the servant. Did we do 11 or did I?
No, we didn't do 11 yet. No.
Okay, 11.
Okay, so 11. When they were near Jebus and the day was almost gone, the servant said to his master, come, let's stop at this city of the Jebusites and spend the night. His master replied, no, we will not go into any city whose people are not Israelites. We will go on to Gibeah.
So Gibeah is in the area of the Benjaminites. So his servant says, let's stay with the Jebusites, the people. By the way, I thought the Jebusites were the ones that convinced Joshua. You remember they dressed in rags and said, can you help us? And Joshua said,
we
yes.
come from a land far away, right? Yeah.
Right. But that was the, oh shoot, I forgot their name now. That wasn't the Jebusites. That was the Gibeonites that did that. If I've said that right. So this is just a different group of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, 13. He added, come, let's try to teach Gibeah or Ramah. Let's try to reach Gibeah or Ramah and spend the night in one of those places. So they went on, and as the sun set, they neared Gibeah in Benjamin. There they stopped to spend the night. They went and sat in the city square, but no one took them in for the night.
Yeah, so it would be quite common, and even now, if it's now this was just a regular night, but if you're coming toward the Sabbath, somebody finds you, they might take you in for the Sabbath meal, and so people would come out and find them. So the funny thing is, he didn't want to stay with the Jebusites. He was afraid. I don't want to stay with these people that aren't our people. It might be too dangerous. So now they've gone to the Benjaminites, which are their people.
Okay.
And nobody's taken them in.
Yes.
Yet anyway.
Yet.
Yeah.
That evening, an old man, this is verse 16, from the hill country of Ephraim, who was living in Gibeah, the inhabitants of the place of the Benjamites, came in from his work in the fields. When he looked and saw the traveler in the city square, the old man asked, where are you going? Where did you come from? He answered, we are on our way from Bethlehem in Judah to a remote area in the hill country of Ephraim where I live. I have been to Bethlehem in Judah, and I'm now going to the house of the Lord. No one has taken me in for the night. We have both straw and fodder for our donkeys, and bread and wine for ourselves, your servants, me, the woman, and the young men with us. We do not need anything. Verse 20, you are welcome at my house, the old man said. Let me supply whatever you need. Only don't spend the night in the square. So he took him into his house and fed his donkeys. After he had washed their feet, they had something to eat and drink.
And that's kind of nice. So it was very normal when you had people over to wash their feet. Remember what Jesus did with his disciples. This was a very common thing to do. And so the old man has them in, and he actually does. He takes them in and he feeds them. which is something for some reason that nobody else was doing. So it's a bit of a slam on them that nobody else was offering this form of hospitality.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. So here we go. Verse 22. While they were enjoying themselves, some of the wicked men of the city surrounded the house. Pounding on the door, they shouted to the old man who owned the house, "Bring out the man who came to your house, so we can have sex with him." The
Okay, let's
owner,
stop there for a second.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
This is exactly the same as something that happened
Hmm.
earlier on, and you remember that story.
Yes, yes, it's a nice reflection of Sodom and Gomorrah, isn't it?
Yes, the very same thing happened in Sodom and Gomorrah, and the response is the same.
Yeah.
Remember in Sodom and Gomorrah, "Don't hurt this man, take my daughters."
Yes.
Yeah, and then the angels just blind them all, so nothing happens. But um, this time they said, "Send this man out, um, so that we can have sex with him," and the guy does something different.
Yeah. So the owner of the house went outside and said to them, "No, my friends, don't be so vile. Since this man is my guest, do not do this outrageous thing. Look, here is my virgin daughter and his concubine. I will bring them out to you now, and you can use them and do whatever you wish. But as for this man, do not do such an outrageous thing."
Yeah. I don't know how people. I don't know how modern women even read these chapters.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And again, here's my virgin daughter.
Yeah.
Take my maiden and take his concubine.
Okay, verse
And
25.
it gets worse.
And it gets worse, believe it or not. Yes.
Yeah.
Verse 25, but the men would not listen to him. So the man took his concubine and sent her outside to them. They raped her and abused her throughout the night, and at dawn they let her go. At daybreak the woman went back to the house where the master was staying, fell down at the door, and lay there until daylight.
Yeah, so she is so beaten down, like she can't even enter the house, like she's just done.
Oh.
And they just leave her at the door. But then he's a loving man when he comes out, isn't he?
Let's see.
or maybe not.
Verse 27. When her master got up in the morning and opened the door of the house and stepped out to continue on his way, there lay his concubine, fallen in the doorway of the house, with her hands on the threshold. He said to her, "Get up, let's go." But there was no answer. Then the man put her on his donkey and set out for home.
Yeah, and this may not be as harsh as it sounds, but doesn't it sound ridiculous?
Yes.
It sounds like he stepped over and said, "Hey, let's get going now."
Yeah, come on.
Right? I just left you with all these men for the night. And she's dead, by the way, as you well know.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not even alive. So they put her on the donkey and they take her home.
Verse 29.
Now he does the Donnie Brasco.
Yes.
Yeah.
When he reached home, he took a knife and cut up his concubine, limb by limb, into 12 parts, and sent them into all the areas of Israel. Everyone who saw it was saying to one another, "Never is such a thing has never been seen or done, not since the day the Israelites came up out of Egypt." Just imagine. We must do something, so speak up.
Yeah. And so that's the end of this chapter. So what he does is he sends this thing out to the 12 tribes. How he sends them, it doesn't say. So I guess he had other servants, and they would take a piece of this woman on their donkey and say, "This is what the Benjaminites did. This is what they did." And he says, "What are we going to do about this? How are we going to resolve this?" And that's the chapter we're getting into where they decide what they're going to do to the Benjaminites. And actually, I think there's only 2 more chapters in the book of Judges. Isn't there? Isn't it 20, 21? That's it? Or is there 22? Let's just have a quick look. 21,
22.
one more.
Oh,
and
no,
then
it's
that's
just
it.
21. It's just 21.
Yeah, 2021. 2021. So 2 more chapters. So we will finish this off next week about the punishment of the Benjaminites. And then they've got to figure out what they're going to do after they punish the Benjaminites, because they just make a mess of this whole thing.
Yeah.
And they cannot figure this out. And the way they solve it is horrible as well, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yes.
Yeah. And Steve, I can't even, it's hard to even do when you have a wife and daughters in the, in this century, in this millennium, and to think of of how far down they went when they treated people this way. And these
Yeah.
are God's people
These are
that
God's
are
people.
treating people this
Yeah.
way.
So good. So good to
Or
remind us
can
of
I say
this.
they're God's people? They're Israelites. I don't know if they're God's people.
Yeah, but so good of you to remind us of this. These are the people that are inheritance of the Passover.
Yeah.
All right. So here we are, verse 20, or chapter 20, verse 1. Then all the
Yeah.
Israel. Then
Oh, I
all
wasn't
it.
going to keep going. Are we
Oh,
going to keep going?
no, I don't know. What are we doing? If we're going to
Oh, I
stop, we're going
thought
to
we were
stop it there.
stopping and we were going to
Let's
finish
stop
2
there.
more chapters
No,
next week.
sorry. Yeah, sorry, folks. You have to wait. So there.
Unless you want to, or do you want to just do? Let's do a few verses.
Okay, I'm in for you then. Sorry, I thought we were going. I'm sorry. Chapter 20, verse 1. Then all Israel from Dan to Beersheba, from the land of Gilead, came together as one and assembled before the Lord at Mizpah. The leaders of all the people of the tribes of Israel took their places in the assembly of God's people, 400,000 men armed with swords.
Yeah, yeah. He did get a response from
Yeah,
his.
oh gosh, did he ever.
Yeah,
The Benjaminites heard that the Israelites had gone up to Mizpah, and then the Israelites said, "Tell us how this awful thing happened."
yeah.
So the Levite, the husband of the murdered woman, said, "I and my concubine came to Gilba, in Benjamin to stay the night. During the night, the men of Gilba, or Gibeah, thank you. I could hear it,
That's
but I
okay.
couldn't hear it. Came to me and came after me and surrounded the house, intending to kill me. They raped my concubine, and she died. I took my concubine, cut her into 12 pieces, and set one piece to each region of Israel's inheritance, because they committed this lewd and outrageous act in Israel. Now, all you Israelites, speak up and tell me what you have decided to do.
Yeah. So this he's just showing you, this author is just showing you that these guys were just like the Sodom and Gomorrah people,
Mm,
and they're coming back to how horrible this is that Israel has fallen this far.
yeah,
But they've lived with people that believe this stuff,
right. And
and
and Benjamin is the tribe of Saul, right?
Benjamin is the tribe of Saul. Yeah,
Yeah,
Saul was a Benjaminite. Yeah,
yeah. So
I believe so. Yes,
interesting
good
that,
call.
this has
Yeah,
come that interesting way that they
yeah,
will survive and produce a king.
yeah. They will produce the first king.
Yeah. Mm.
I think he
Uh
was a Benjamin.
yeah,
We
yeah,
could double check that,
yeah,
but I
yeah,
think you were right, my friend Steve.
yeah. Okay. Do you want
Yeah,
me to go one more section here?
yeah. Let's do one more.
Okay. All the men rose up together as one, saying, "None of us will go home. No, not one of us will return to his house. But now this is what we will do to Gibeah." Or Gibeah, right? "We'll go up against it in order decided by casting lots. We'll take 10 men out of every 100 from all the tribes of Israel, and 100 from every 1,000, and 1,000 from 10,000." I guess they're showing off their math skills now, to
Yes.
get provisions for the army. Then, when the army arrives at Gibeah in Benjamin, it can give them what they deserve for this outrageous act done
That
in
could make a
Israel.
good Simon and Schuster skit, eh?
Yeah,
Them trying to count them all out.
that's right. So all the Israelites got together and united as one against the city.
Yeah. Let's stop there because we'll finish off what they did to them and then what happens in the last chapter.
Yeah,
But so you can see, Benjamin did this horrible thing. The rest of them might have been just as horrible, by the way.
right, right. That's true.
The ones judging them may not have been any better than them,
Yeah, yeah. There
but
might
they're
there
coming against Benjamin. Yeah.
there. What's the camp song? There might be flies on some of you guys, but there ain't no flies
Yeah.
on
But
us.
there ain't no flies on us.
Wow. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And when you think later on, Benjamin is the tribe that's Judah and Benjamin are the two tribes that stay with Rehoboam that
mm,
become the kingdom of Judah,
right.
and all the rest become the kingdom of Israel.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
really the last two tribes that can trace their lineage back, right?
yeah. And Dan to Beersheba it's just a way of saying from the far north to the far south.
Yeah.
They use that expression all the time, all the way from Dan to Beersheba.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you'd think that the Benjaminites would always be great because that was the young boy that when Joseph was in the land, that was the youngest brother that he
Yeah.
had stay behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, but his offspring became just like everybody else's offspring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. All right, my friend, we've left them on a cliffhanger. This is a good place
Okay.
to leave them because they know something really bad's about to happen.
Yeah.
Folks, is
Of course, they could just read.
yeah. Oh
They'll know
no,
as
they
much as us.
oh no, they don't do that. Nobody reads ahead. They are waiting.
Listeners don't read.
They are waiting for our very next word. They're not going to read another thing
Yeah.
until then.
Yeah. So the term is alliterate, which
Yes.
means you can read, but you don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Illiterate means you can't read. Huh?
Yes. Or and the song by the Pet Shop Boys was he said I'm a bilingual illiterate. I can't read in two languages. Yeah. And if you email in and tell me what song it is, we'll send you some. No, we'll send you nothing. Actually, forget it. Nothing. Anyway, folks, as always, thank you so much for listening. We so enjoy doing this for you. I hope you can tell that our joy kind of radiates through what we do. But thank you for listening to this. What hard chapter and a half that we read through. But it's a great example of just where Israel got to. Think, these are the generations after the Passover, and these people forgot. We think things are bad in society today. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. um, the Israelite society is saying, "Hold my beer" at this point. Okay, so all right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, I was Steve, he was Larry, and this was the Apoco-Larry.